Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this closing session. I can hardly believe it. We're landing the spaceship, and perhaps we should actually take the time as we land our spaceship to do some of that wonderful 1960s spaceship landing body movement. So come on, we're landing our spaceship. Can I invite you to just rub your hands? Can I see everyone here in the studio, please, at least rub your hands? Come on, rub your hands. Okay, let's go down and start. Let's tap our legs. Let's tap our legs. Come on, quite hard. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. We're landing our spaceship. This hurts. Okay, now we're going to start moving from left to right. Don't worry, I'm the one looking silly. And shaking your arms up there. Ooh, the spaceship is landing. And I think we've landed. All right. Woo. So, as I said, the spaceship is landing. We're just starting to come to a halt. But luckily, in this internal GIZ session, as we close, will give us the opportunity of looking back and looking forward. And I think one of the most wonderful things about this Future Forum has been the amount of people that I've had the privilege to welcome into this studio, whether live here like Christian just now, or whether it was on the screen coming to us from all over the world. It's been so diverse and bright, and I think that sort of shows you the spirit of this Future Forum. It's not something top down and we tell you what to do. It's something that has been co-created by so many people, and I'm sure they're going to get their due thanks later. Oh, I'm all puffed after that landing experience. Let's remember why we're here. What are the objectives of this Future Forum? We had 3 objectives that we shared with you at the beginning. One was capacity development, asking ourselves whether we're doing the right things the right way, and saying, what is it that we would like to improve? Either because others are doing it and we can copy, or because this is something that we can learn and co-create together. The second is the corporate objectives, and I think that was really interesting also in the panel discussion we've just experienced, to hear that everything we've been talking about is in line with the strategy that we are seeing in BMZ and in the EU Commission moving forward. And we can't do it on our own, not even GIZ. So without those strategies behind us, we're going to have a tough time. So what are those trends that we need to be picking up right now and adopting? I think a lot of answers have come over the last 4 days. And the final objective was community building. And I've certainly heard from several people that they've said, I met someone and we're going to catch up. So please do that. When you go back to your desks on Monday, don't forget that there are a lot of exciting people you wanted to get in contact with. And I can just give you a little example. Yesterday, I spoke to Andrew and Aubrey, who were on my panel this morning, and they said, you are now my best friend, and we're going to work together. So even that was something which was very, very useful. So where are we now? What we'd like to do is just spend a little bit of time getting to understand some of the learnings and the results coming out of the planets, out of the focus areas. So the first impressions you can have are going to be really, really visual. Let's have a look. On our screens, we can see some wonderful graphic recordings. We will be able to in a minute. Here's one. Here, look, we can really dive into space here in our studio. This is a graphic recording from the first focus area, from focus area digital power to perform. And right in the middle, there it is, designing with the user. The wonderful thing about graphic recordings is that they give us the opportunity to be very in your face. So this is what it's all about, says the graphic recorder, design with the user. We also have this down here, avoid solutionism. You know, we go in there, we say, all I need is a problem, I've got the solution. It's a one-size-fits-all. This is not going to work, but it's certainly a challenge that we need to deal with. If you just go up, we've got culture and learning skills are the problem, not the technology. We've got the tools. It's just that we don't want to use them. And could it be that they're not tools that have been co-created by me? The question of trust has been something that's been with us all through the 4 days, and that's also, I think, right at the top. Bring back the trust in government. And I think we've seen this morning also that there's a lot of potential through digitalization of bringing back trust in government, because government will have more data, more information with which it can work. And there's a great, if you guys just go down a bit, GIZ, are we fit enough? Well, one thing that I've certainly noticed is that there's a lot of humility in this room. You're doing an awful lot of stuff right, but you're still asking the question, what can we do more, better, faster? How can we learn? This humility that we have heard all through the conference. So you will have access to these wonderful pictures. You can put them up next to you in your office, wherever it is. The second of the focus areas, dealing with social cohesion and peace building in the digital era, said, and this is also captured nicely in the picture that we're about to see, that disinformation travels so much faster than facts or truth. There it is, somewhere right at the top, I think. And this is why we've got to be faster. So putting ourselves on this, under this pressure to actually be faster than Donald Trump could ever be. How to design peaceful dialogue online. And this is something where we've heard a lot of people saying we've already got so many great skills. Pandemics can also have their positive side effects. But how can we make sure that that peaceful dialogue is also inclusive? Promote peace with big data. We had great discussion on that this morning, building peace with big data. And I also I love that picture over there, the storytelling. You can see those 3 guys and girls at the top. So how digitalization changes societies. Let's make sure we use it to tell the right stories and have that emotional buy-in. The third of our focus areas is the inclusive digital democratization and deliberation. And just have a look at some of these pictures. I think one point which we'll have a look at is strengthening civil society organizations. And maybe we can do more of that, I think, has come out when we're designing processes, when we need to use that local knowledge. The role of civil society organizations is going to be absolutely crucial. There's a point just above mine, the interplay between digital and analog. I think I remember one message throughout the 4 days of saying, is there actually a difference between analog and digital? Interesting concept. Tools. We heard before it's not the tools that are the problem, it's the culture. But let's make sure that we are smart in our tool development, reusing, improving, and open source. And then the fake news is also on here. It's a lovely picture. I think that's why I wanted to show it to you. Where's the fake news? There it is, up there. Platforms have a duty and care. And I really heard that this morning also with our private sector partners saying it's actually down to us. We've got to do no evil. Let's go to the fourth picture, data for development, understanding that these pictures are not doing, justice to the depth of information, but they give us a little bit of an idea. And data for development, put right in the middle of its picture, high quality data. This is where we need high quality data. You can see here, whoa, the ethics. Can we have the ethics back? This is a very nice robot. He's ethically minded. We need ethical artificial intelligence. And I think we've spoken quite a bit about that this morning. It's shit in, shit out, or garbage in, garbage out. It does depend on the people who are behind the AI. There's a great picture of a bath full of babies. Can we have that? It's above the high quality data. There it is, look. Too much white male global north behind the data. We have these wonderful gaps. Sorry about all that. And just another point on the reliability of data. So, as I say, these are fun. These are pictures that you can take and have a look at and maybe just give yourself a little bit of a reminder of some of the things that were important in your focus areas. But we'd also like to use this moment with you to talk a little bit more deeply on the content. And that's why I'm really, really pleased to ask Kathrin Lorenz back onto the stage. Thank you, Kathrin. And joining us online are 4 rapporteurs. Now, these 4 rapporteurs have been tirelessly and diligently working as we've gone through the 2 days of planets. They wrote logbooks, they put things together, they made sure that not just for today, but for afterwards as well, your voices and the results of these planets, of these focus areas, have been recorded. They're observers, their views are authentic, they didn't sleep, I don't think, during the 2 days, and they're experienced colleagues from the field. And all the results that they have picked up, not just what we're talking about here, will be fed into the follow-up process that we'll talk to Kathrin about in a minute. So let me introduce, please, Ulla Peterreit from GIZ Uganda. Could you just wave when I say your name, because then people can see? Thank you. It's Mona Alt from GIZ Globe. She was rapporteur of Focus Area 2, whereas Ulla was rapporteur for Focus Area 1. Kim Schulte from GIZ in Rwanda was rapporteur for Focus Area 3. And Anas Altatori from GIZ Palestine was rapporteur for Focus Area 4. Great to see you. And thank you all for the work that you've put behind this. This is so important because I know there were a lot of colleagues who said, I would have actually liked to have been in all of the focus areas. So you're going to make sure that that knowledge management spins. So perhaps just a couple of questions on process, first of all, before we dive into the recommendations that you've come out with. Let me just ask you, first of all, Kim, what moved you during the focus area? What moved you emotionally?
I think for me, it was really the commitment and the honesty of the colleagues that we had in the room and also of the speakers, because I think we questioned a lot of the practices that we actually adopt within GIZ, especially the solution in front of the problem approach that we often adopt. And we actually questioned a lot of these concepts that we currently use and tried to come up with solutions how to actually change the way we work. And there was a lot of honest discussion about what actually doesn't work with the current approaches, and that we need a lot more human centricity in the work that we do. And I think I found that really moving, that there was a lot of honesty and honest discussion in the room.
You must have felt very safe in the room for that to have actually happened.
Yeah, I think we did, and it was very open, and all the colleagues were open to share their ideas and thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you. Ulla, were there any surprises in your focus area?
To me, actually, it was that it's not that technical, or I expected it to be more technical and for me to have way more question marks than I actually had. Of course, there were sessions which were a bit more technical, but actually what surprised me was, like this approach where I had the feeling everyone could go with it and understand and also reflect on how to implement it, maybe in their own projects or in their own working space.
Did you have the feeling that people were actually hungry for that sort of impulse, for that sort of inspiration?
Definitely. And I mean, there's also, besides the inputs we got from the panelists, there's almost already so much knowledge within GIZ and our colleagues. So we already have a lot to offer ourselves.
Okay, thank you. And on that note, Anas, I remember when we spoke, you said, this was really useful for me because there was so many things that I didn't know we actually did. Like if the organization knew what the organization knew, it would be fantastic. Was that a sort of aha moment for you?
Yeah, absolutely, Natasha. I was really surprised and positively surprised to learn about many initiatives and innovations that are going on within my own organization, but not very, let's say, positively surprised by my lack of knowledge about these initiatives. Really, from GovStack, for example, to all the experiments that the GIZ science or data lab is doing. Definitely. Excellent work that needs more dissemination and publicity.
Thank you. Mona, was there any advantage of being 100% online?
Yeah, there was definitely an advantage of that because we were able to take part in all the sessions, not just in our focus area, but also in the satellite events. And we were able to connect with the other people online in different chat rooms, in different background chats. And we were still able to see everyone. I was actually quite impressed by all the virtual applause that everyone always got and the virtual hearts that everyone got for their presentations. So it was possible to create a feeling of unity and community, even with just being in the online space.
Yeah. Perhaps also the opportunity of having a little bit more inclusivity because people didn't have to travel.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Another question. I'd want to get to know you all a little bit better and more about the spirit of your focus areas. What made you proud? Who can I ask that to? I'd like to ask Ulla. What made you proud?
In my focus. Maybe to have that sounds also a bit cheesy, but to have so many, engaged and motivated colleagues. And that makes me really proud also to be part of this process and to know that there are so many people who are engaged with this. And I agree with Kim that it's a learning process and there are some obstacles we have to overcome. But I think one of our greatest assets are the people, are the colleagues. All of them, AMA, IMA, national colleagues, development advisors, everyone, and that made me quite proud to be part of this conference.
And it doesn't sound cheesy. It sounds like you really value your colleagues. Thank you so much. Was there any frustration, Kim, during the 2 days? Frustration on the content level, or maybe even also just regarding the organizations, or any frustrations?
I think not really. I think the only frustration that we might have felt at the end was how do we actually implement all the great ideas that we have now, right? And we're still stuck in our old processes, and there are a lot of rules that we need to obey to, and a lot of processes that are defined, and really it's a big challenge to now think about how we can actually introduce the new approaches and make them happen. It's not really a frustration, but it's a challenge, I would say, that we want to tackle together.
Yeah, and we'll talk to Kathrin about that in a little bit, because that's the crux, isn't it? When we have an organized event like this over 4 days, something has to change, something has to be different afterwards. But I'm optimistic that we'll talk about that. Anas, which speaker that you met over the course of the Future Forum would you like to get stuck in a lift with? Stuck in an elevator?
Okay, so this is a good question. Actually, first to say that all speakers were wonderful.
That's going to be a big lift.
Yeah. Actually, I followed with great interest the inspirational talk by Martin, I believe his name. I'm sorry, that from Estonia, and despite he was the only one not actually sitting in a built-up area when we talked to him. But despite that, I found his inspirational talk really inspirational.
Yeah, thank you. It's really outside of the box. If you're outside of the box, right? Martin has inspired many people. We've seen that as we've been going through. And finally, Mona, if you'd had the Future Forum in a physical space, what's the one thing that you'd have really, really enjoyed doing that we didn't have the opportunity of doing here?
Yeah, that's actually quite easy to answer. I would really love to have 1 coffee, 2 coffees, 3 coffees, actual coffees with as many people as possible during the breaks to be able to continue the conversations over the frame of the actual workshop setting.
Yeah, I can imagine. I thought you were going to say beer, but that's probably just because we're moving towards the end.
That's for afterwards.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now let's move to the recommendations. And again, please, ladies and gentlemen, understand no recommendations that are given to us in 2 minutes can do justice to everything that you have spoken about, but just allow us to get the essence of things that you think are important moving forward. And then, Kathrin, I'll ask you what you make of that. So let's move in the order of the actual focus areas and start with Ulla on the changing capacities of state and non-state actors.
Yes, thanks a lot. So in focus area 1, yes, we came up with 2 main recommendations. So we learned that the meaningful interaction of various stakeholders like civil society, the public sector, the private sector is crucial for digitalization to work. And we need to change our mindset towards digitalization. What I found quite mind-blowing was the statement that only 10% is technology and the rest is about people, systems, processes, networks, and adaptable legal frameworks. So GIZ already has most of these skills, but as an institution and beyond, and here comes the recommendation to all of us, we must act faster to keep up. We have to become more flexible, more risk-taking, and ready to fail to better support our partners in a fast-changing digital environment. And I know that's easier said than done, in particular for our colleagues who are already trying to live these values and encounter limitations by our own structure. And an outcome for me is to spread the word myself, to make sure that the outcomes of the Future Forum get shared through our knowledge management structure, and to push the dialogue within GIZ. And our second recommendation is to apply a whole of government approach. What does the infrastructure look like? Are there frequent power cuts? How about digital literacy? Are we leaving behind the rural areas? There are common challenges in different developing countries, and we have to reach out to learn from others, regional and local experts, other countries, but again, also the private sector. For example, the one-stop shop concept has been mentioned to increase transparency and decrease corruption, and I found this really interesting to further work on. We need to know how to adapt these learnings to a local context, also taking into account what solutions actually already exist, can be reused and improved. And of course, for all of this to work, there needs to be a high level of political will. And the sentence Diana Sang said is stuck in my head: they need to want it more than you.
Oh, yeah, wonderful. Thanks for bringing that to just such a key couple of very understandable, comprehensible recommendations, Ulla. That's a real hard job. Mona, moving to focus area 2 on social cohesion and peace building. What are your recommendations?
Yeah, thank you very much. We have 4 recommendations. In our focus area, we learned that there's already a tremendous amount of experience within GIZ on the nexus between digitalization and peace building. At the same time, 90% of the participants said that this topic is either completely new for them or that they're only just starting to explore it a little bit more. So our first recommendation is, if we want to stay relevant advisors for partners, GIZ needs to invest into building the capacity of our own staff at first. GIZ must ensure structured and accessible knowledge management in order to be efficient. This makes our strategies fit for a digitalized world. Second, social cohesion requires a certain level of trust. Informality creates trust. Digital tools are an opportunity for people to connect with each other. But experiences show that many peace-building activities actually require a face-to-face element in the end. So we need to use both approaches, complementary. And this also means a reality check for digital by default. And thirdly, you saw that on the graphic recording earlier, on social media, disinformation travels 6 times faster than the truth. Digitalization can be a challenge for social cohesion. We see that in many areas. So we need to invest in peace innovators who create alternative models. And while we're trying to keep the negative and hateful content outside, we need to increase the speed of the positive content. And finally, I'd like to quote one of our inspirational speakers: "Nothing about us without us is for us." Inclusivity does not start with a diverse participant list or with the multilingual app. It starts with the participatory design phase. So a user-centric design all the way, that's the key.
Wonderful. Thanks very much for very clear recommendations. And the wonderful thing is they go to the business that you're doing, but they also go to yourselves. This is something that you can all start on directly tomorrow as well. Let's go to focus area 3, inclusive digital democracy and deliberation. Kim.
Thank you. So in our focus area, we discussed that digitalization does not automatically improve democracy. Digital tools can help to improve public participation or accountability, but they also bear significant risks that we should not forget, especially when it's about leaving people behind. And therefore, we propose to adopt a human-centered design by default approach for all our projects, at least to complement the digital by default approach. Human-centered design should already be adopted in our project planning phase. And that means, for example, that during our appraisal missions, we should not only talk to government officials, but we should also have a meaningful engagement with potential end users. Similarly, we need human-centered designers on every project that we do in order to develop a digital solution. And ideally, these would come from the partner countries. However, in our current JASAC structures, this is not easy to implement, and we know that all. And we are often asked to come up with a solution before actually really understanding the needs of the user and the ecosystem. And therefore, we would really invite our commissioning parties to give us the necessary time and flexibility to leverage the human-centered approach. And if we take this seriously, it means that we need to follow the principle form follows function. And instead of putting into a project offer that we will develop mobile apps for public participation, we need to be more open-minded and impact-driven that this could also be a non-digital solution. This also means, and this is our second recommendation, that we should not only focus on high-tech solutions like AI and blockchain, because they sound very innovative and they sell very well in the donor community. And I'm from an AI project, so this is something big to say, but our recommendation is really that we need to be open also for low-tech solutions such as SMS systems that can sometimes actually be more suitable to a specific problem and context. And as Mona said, we also need to combine always the offline approach with the online approach, because trust can only be built offline.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for making it clear that it's not about the tools, it's about applying the right tools for the right situation. And finally, from Data for Development Focus Area 4, Anas, what are your recommendations?
Right. So data for development. There's clearly no proper policy making without data, but not only data, high quality data, data that is inclusive, that is free of bias, well understood and disaggregated to make visible all the vulnerable groups within the society. This is the data that we need for sustainable development. What does this mean for our recommendations? We have two recommendations, actually. Firstly, in order to make high quality data available, governments and cities need adequate infrastructure, governance models and frameworks, technology, but most importantly, people. We need to be working closely with our partners to build their capacities and enable them to collect the data that they need and to develop the policies and solutions that best suit their local context. Because imported and ready-made solutions usually don't work and they are not sustainable. Our second recommendation goes to the heart of GIZ knowledge and innovation management. GIZ needs a living knowledge management culture and infrastructure so that we are able to learn about the ongoing developments from open data initiatives all the way to the data science experiments. Actually, I was, for example, surprised that I think this is true for many people, did not know about the work of the data science or the data lab, the GIZ data lab, where they are combining data science with alternative sources of data in order to overcome the problem of data scarcity in fragile contexts and difficult conditions where data is mostly needed. Yep. There's a great work that is being done. It just needs better dissemination so that we can all learn and benefit from it.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks so much. Wow, a round of applause to our rapporteurs, first of all.
Oh, yeah, thanks so much.
It's not a very loud round of applause, but it's from the heart. Thank you. And now, again, without having to deal with each one of these recommendations right now, but we'd like to hear about the process of doing that. Kathrin, what is it that you're taking away?
Okay, first of all, thanks so much. This was really impressive, and the recommendations were so to the point and linked to the focus areas. Some are a bit cross-cutting, or one can recognize you have recommendations that speak to the organization that are maybe similar, but some are so specific coming out of your focus area. So thanks so much for that, first of all. So I'm really impressed with this outcome already. And I would like to pick up a few points that resonate with me and then maybe describe a little bit the way forward, how we see it. My first point that I'd like to reiterate, I think Ola said it, it's about all of us to change. And we said in the beginning, this conference is about the community building, the rebuilding maybe after having lost ourselves maybe a little bit also through the times of Corona. And this community needs to make a change. So, of course, some of the recommendations can be maybe taken up, of course, by structures in the organization. But I think what really strikes me is how you also framed these recommendations as we have to do this together somehow. All of us have to change. And I think that's definitely a huge takeaway for us because it shows that our community building objective already materializes in that sense. So I'm really happy about that. And one thing I really would like to take up is and I think Kathrin mentioned it also on the first day, is about this inclusivity, the collaboration. The theme of our conference is states, society, and people in the digital age. And somehow now I think we should have said something like states, society, people, data, the data industry, the tech industry. I mean, everyone who is involved in this digital ecosystem should have been part already in our pitch of the theme of this conference. I mean, this for me is a takeaway that we, on the one hand, need to consider in the ecosystem where we work. We have to be much more alert as to who are other players and partners, in particular coming from the tech industry. But on the other hand, if we look at the data or at the digital ecosystem, we have to be aware, of course, governance are part of that. Of course, the civil society that we've worked with for a long time are part of that in oversight capacities or others. So I think this, to me, delinking somehow the digital ecosystem and maybe other ecosystems has really, to me, merged. And this is a great takeaway of this conference. And it also showed how important it is to partner these perspectives. And I also liked what someone said about how little these topics are about the digital or the tech side and how much they are about the culture.
And that actually has a lot to do with perhaps GIZ's role, doesn't it, of being this honest broker, this facilitator. Is that something that you can imagine even stronger in future?
I think so too. And Dirk said it also, that actually we have a role because of our long-term presence in partner settings and the trust we have built through our work so far. I think we can play a role in facilitating and bringing these actors together. And I was also really impressed, I have to say, when I look back at the last days, about our convening power, or in a way facilitating power. If I look at the focus areas and the amount of super interesting high-level speakers that you mobilized, you know, the data session this morning where we also mobilized such interesting speakers, I think that also should give us a bit of backwind. I don't know how you say that in English, to say...
You feel proud, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we still have to be very humble, and that's of course very true, but I think also it shows that we do have this facilitating role, maybe, and we can be a bit proud in taking that, or be a bit courageous, is something that Ingrid Hofen said also on the first day. Be courageous and take this role, because I think, and you also cited this example from this morning, we bring people and we bring organizations together that need to speak to each other in this digital world, and I think that's definitely something that's a major takeaway also for me. So, anything else, or can we think about how to move forward? Because there's so much more. And I can imagine that, you know, the focus areas have got a lot of to-dos. We're also seeing the peer groups coming up with reflections that we could use. How are you going to imagine that's moving forward? Yeah, before I move to that, I would, again, I think I quoted it even on the first day, and it kind of, for me, it was a theme throughout the conference. Someone said on the first day, digitalization hits communities. And it described so well that this process is happening, whether we like it or not. And it's about us to find the right ways of working with our partners and shaping this process, and looking at mitigating risks that are involved with these partners, and looking at building capacities. And another takeaway I had today very strongly from one of the marketplaces I joined was digitalization hits communities. And when we look at our work as that very differently, and someone said it also, some of our partners are in remote rural areas. There's maybe one shared cell phone where they can actually connect. And others, of course, are much more advanced. They have their own national statistics institutes that are fully digitalized and data-driven. So I think, to me, this question of diversity and looking at, and also, again, a keyword from the first day, and that was a bit of a red thread for me throughout the conference, we need to contextualize. We have to be clear when we improve our services in terms of being more digital, or improve our services to take digital transformation even more serious in our work. It needs to be contextualized. There is really such different realities that we look into. And co-created as well. And co-created, of course. That was also a very strong point that was made from the rapporteurs. And co-created, and it needs to be impact-driven, also a keyword I'd like to take up. And that, I think, is a huge opportunity for us, because we know the context out there so well. So I think we can really contextualize. We heard also very inspiring, of course, some of the big themes, the climate change and the opportunities of digitalization, of course, green recovery. But we also have to look at, in particular in the field of governance and conflict, we do have a lot of partner settings where the situation is very different. And I think we have a great, we are very well situated to contextualize. This is one of our strengths. Also something that was said, I think, by someone in the previous panel. We need to build on our strengths, and I think we do have many strengths to match, to facilitate, to look at the context, take the context as a starting point, and also, last point on that, match this online offline, which I also really liked. I think that's also really something very important that was like a bit of a red thread to me throughout the conference. Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks, Kathrin, for giving us a taste. But what's next? What's next? Okay. Well, I mean, I'm here as head of division in the sectoral department. So, of course, and I highlighted on purpose, many things we can do as a community, and we do together, and everyone has their role where we come from. So I can reflect, of course, upon a few points where I can say we can do things already, we can start doing things differently from our capacity, of course, together with my colleague Annette, who will join me on stage in a minute again. But of course, for other things, we need so many other actors in the organization to continue this dialogue. So let me start maybe with the easy takeaways. So we had the great opportunity to have a fully virtual conference. We recorded nearly everything. We do have our capacity development product, the DigiCamps, those were mentioned also before by Dirk Assmann. Of course, we are going to pimp up our e-learning with so many of the material that we have gathered in the last days. We will look at the material. We will see, maybe we come up with some specialized e-learning. We have to see. There is nothing, I think, in terms of GIZ internal e-learning, but we have the digital governance camps who can be, as I said, either complemented with what we've done, but we definitely will come out with a learning product that is here to stay and it's not just gone.
Brilliant.
And the second point, of course, I mentioned before also, we have really strong sector networks, the regional sector networks and the global NICD. And they do have work streams working on this digitalization topic. They do have implemented the DigiCamps. We continue to work with that. I can already announce that the Go MENA, so the governance sector network of the MENA region next year, will also dedicate their conference theme to the digitalization with this regional focus and the focus of the portfolio that we find there. So that's definitely something where we can easily make an impact and start doing things differently. And that's, to me, definitely a main point. We need to reshape and use resources that we have. Maybe they're not enough. Maybe we have to do more things. But let's first look at what we can do differently. We do have great knowledge management resources. We have the digital gateway, we have the topics, we have the digital pathfinder. I think we have to also look, how come maybe some of these things are not known? How come we don't use them in an interactive, community-based manner? What can we do to use these things better? And really use in terms of dissemination, in putting practices together, we should use much better what we have. And of course, really, that's a bigger one. Someone said we have to critically reflect upon digital by default. I think we really have to look at, of course, how do we design projects? Can we, these 2 points that were taken up, projects that are more or use other better data, and then we come to the data capacities, etc. And the other aspect, of course, incorporate more systematically the human-centered design. Those are bigger ones, and I can just call upon everyone to work with us on that. It also reflects on partners, commissioning parties who are interested in these kind of approaches. But I think we have to continue working on the projects mainstreaming with these takeaways that you also brought from the focus areas. And of course, we need to continue dialogue with our commissioning parties. I think we had a good kickoff with the session we just had. And in that sense, I think our journey that for many of us has started quite a bit time before the Future Forum, the journey that we had these last 2 days will continue in the future. One last point, I think for those comments mentioned with regards to great ideas, we want to continue working on these ideas. Use the formats. There's the Innovation Fund. We also cooperation with the DigiCamp, looking at what kind of challenges can be included. So I think we have to really use this community now to disseminate much better what we have and put this into practice and use it for our governance and peace building questions that we want to work on.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm just going to have a quick look at the rapporteurs. Can I see either a thumbs up, a thumb to the side, or a thumb down when you just hear this initial response? How does that make you feel? Great, thanks very much. Okay, a round of applause for our wonderful rapporteurs who are, their job's not done. They're going to continue. Thank you. And we really are starting to come to a close, but we've picked the brains of our rapporteurs to try and remember some of the wealth of content that we've been talking about. And now we'd like to pick your brains. We are now going to start a quiz. This is a quiz, and I'm not doing it on my own, but Marius Kruyenborg, who's a member of the core team, who's been really not sleeping for the last 4 weeks, is going to join me. And Marius is somewhere in the back of the studio. I'm not quite sure where he is, but he's coming, I think. Marius, come and join us. So you can see a little bit about the environment that we're in. Come on, Marius, great to see you. And thank you for all your hard work. And we've got a quiz for everyone because we're thinking there's been so much content. Let's see who wins. The prize of the quiz is?
We do have 2 prizes. One, you can choose from 2 ebooks that we pre-selected. both have to do with the topics that we have been discussing in the past 4 days. The first one that many of you probably know is Invisible Woman, Exposing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men by Caroline Criado Perez. And the second one, a novel, Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. And you'll be, if you are winning the quiz, you'll be the one to choose from one of the 2 books.
Okay, now, how do you get into this quiz? So we need you to go into Ysembly, please. The link for Ysembly you'll find underneath the stream. Just click on that, and we'll be starting the quiz in just 1 second. But please remember, you will win the quiz not just by getting the answers right, but also by being the first to do it. So speed is of the essence. What we're going to do is read the questions and the answers, but you can be as speedy as you want and go through. Please do not do it anonymously. So don't click on anonymous, otherwise we won't know whether you've won or not, and you won't be able to win the prize. So this is the quiz on the Future Forum 2021. Let's have the first question. On what bakery good is an economic model based that is increasingly also applied to urban governance as well?
Is it A, flatbread, B, donut, C, baklava, or D, quiche?
Okay, and we're not leaving you much time to answer this. Let's go to the next question, which is, what social media tool is used by some peacekeeping organizations as a means to counter dangerous messaging from antagonistic actors?
Is it A, TikTok, B, memes, C, Snapchat, or D, GIFs?
Okay, please press your answer. Let's go to the next question. What does the pothole theory talk about?
The beauty of potholes, different characteristics, forms and shapes of potholes, double loop systemic change processes with reflective feedback mechanisms, understanding that people are likely to participate more the more they are directly affected by an issue, the artistic or mental state artists can fall in due to the avid consumption of marijuana.
Okay, what do you think? And the next one, why should you be lazy as a fox?
I'm not seeing the options.
Ah, you can't see the options? Hold on. I can't see the
there
options
we go.
right now. Oh, you got them.
Well, is it foxes don't reinvent wheels? Foxes have faster cars? Foxtrot is a slow dance? Or foxes are not lazy?
And remember, you're in the survey mode, and you have to go in and press the answers yourself. The next question is, how much faster does disinformation travel through social media than peaceful messages? It's been mentioned today about 14 times, so if you didn't get it...
This one should be easy if you have listened closely to Mona. Is it A, the same, B, 3 times faster, C, 6 times faster, or D, 7 times faster?
Okay, and you should all be pressing, and you can move even faster than we are. We're just going to read them all out. According to the Washington Post, how many untruths did Donald Trump accumulate during his presidency?
A lot, certainly.
Not
8,401, 22,011, 30,573, or none.
All right. Next one. How many events made up the Future Forum in total?
Also a lot, in fact. Is it A, 19, B, 31, C, 56, or D, 71?
And whiz through these, please. Remember, speed is also important. Which allegory did Lisa Witter of Apolitical use to exemplify the concept of unlearning?
Is it A, packing a suitcase, B, studying for a test, C, cleaning your car, or D, preparing a meatloaf?
If you remember, I sang on Monday. That should give you a little clue. And the final question, and I can see more and more people are answering, wonderful, is who are the following three women? Kathrin Jackson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson.
Mathematicians who worked at NASA during the space race between the US and the Soviet Union. The first three female heads of division, department within GIZ, or rather its predecessor, GTZ. Members of a feminist artist collective using big data to create innovative pictures showing the non-progress of the SDGs, or long-forgotten members of the original Spice Girls, or rather Space Girls.
I can hear giggling over here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so let's just give you another couple of seconds to answer this quiz. You'll find it, by the way, under surveys. So all these wonderful people who've written in the text, you all get a round of applause for getting things right. But if you want to win the quiz, you have to go to the survey and answer the 10 questions there. So I'm just going to say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's see the results. The results are, it's a donut, it's memes, it's understanding. Pothole theory is not about marijuana. No one chose that. Very sensible. It's about understanding that people are likely to participate more and more. They are actively affected. Why should you be lazy as a fox? Because foxes don't reinvent wheels. And you're quite right, those of you who put 4 as well, they're not lazy. How much faster does disinformation travel? It's 6 times. So there were a lot of people who did get that right and listen. Interesting. We seem to have programmed this wrong. According to the Washington Post, Donald Trump did not tell no untruths. We'll scrap that question. It is, in fact, 30,000. That must have been programmed weird. How many events made up the Future Forum? It's 56. Wow. Which allegory did Lisa Witter use for unlearning? It's preparing a meatloaf, and the following 3 women are mathematicians who worked at NASA. So how can we work out who won? I'm going to go over to results by user. The winner is Anna. Anna is the winner, who not only got 89% and did a great job, she did it in 0.2. She did it in 25 seconds. Second was Johannes. Well done, Johannes. And third, let's just go down to third, was Lucas123, who did it really, really quickly, but didn't get as many right. So, wonderful. Anna, just one prize?
What, just one prize.
Just one prize. Anna, you get the prize. Congratulations. Woo! And thank you for everybody in the core team. To you, Marius. It's been a great pleasure working with you.
It's really
Ladies and gentlemen, Marius. Okay. Now, as I hand back to our hosts, as they come onto the stage slowly, let me please invite you to give some feedback. So I'm going to stop this quiz. And if you would go to votes on Wisembly, it would be great to get your feedback. So don't go to votes, just go to the general, what do you want to say? Just go to the open field, what do you want to say? And give us your feedback. What did you like? What didn't you like? And as we go through, we'll be having a look at that. But now it's my great pleasure to ask our 2 hosts, who've also not slept much over the last 4 days, to please wrap up this wonderful Future Forum and let everybody know how you're feeling. You had some wishes at the beginning, I remember.
Yeah, Annette, what about your wish? Did it come true?
Yes, I'm perfectly happy, Kathrin. It was great to see how our intensive preparation during the last months have led to such fruitful, engaging, and also controversial discussion. I think this is how we can succeed and progress. And what I have learned just now in the closing sessions of the rapporteurs makes me sure that the Future Forum will not end today. But that is a joint learning journey which will continue in the months which come and, of course, in the next year. Let us all jointly ensure that the momentum we created continues, and we jointly keep on learning, exchanging, and co-creating. And let us do so jointly, bringing our digital communities and governance and peace-building communities together, like we did it in the Future Forum. And what's with your wishes?
Well, mine, I have to say, definitely also came true. I wished for a large participation. I think Natasha was saying it, not the audience, but really participants in this Future Forum. And at least for many, many formats that offered this space to participate safely and actively, this really came true. I had breakfast meetings in the peer group, so it was almost like going down in a hotel to a breakfast and meet and start a day like that. I saw in all of the site events that this really was actively visited and participated, and all the colleagues also told me that the participation was huge. And of course, the focus areas, we heard that also created these safe spaces for different perspectives to come on the table. And also finally, maybe the virtual marketplace today, which again allowed for discussion in a safe space on experiences and on concerns also. So I'm really happy about the level of participation, and really happy that in this virtual format we managed to bring the community actively together. And so I talked a little bit about what, from my perspective, we can do differently. Annette, what will you do differently now after this exciting week?
Actually, the Future Forum for me was rather confirmed that we have to continue our journey. We have to continue mainstreaming digitalization in our sector portfolio. And at the same time, we have to develop new products, new approaches. But this we have to do together. Sector portfolio as governance and peace building, and we with our digital competences in my division. We have to contextualize what we do and continue our existing partnerships, but also to look for new partners. You spoke about the digital ecosystem. You will to look closer in the future. In all of this, we have to act value-based and human-centered. I think we discuss this very often in these days, and it's obvious with people or experts on governance issues. The digital transformation, for me, it's a revolution, changing states, societies, and people. Everyone has to contribute his, her, or their share. I will contribute my part as a head of the division Methods, Digital, Transformation and Innovation, but together with all of you. Thank you.
So we're looking forward to continuing this journey. For us as Governance and Conflict Division, the Future Forum as an event will finish in just a few moments.
Yeah.
Annette, you will continue as partnering with the sector divisions next year for the next round of Future Forum. And with that, I will hand over, you told me it's a baton? No, baton.
It's a button.
It's a Staffel. I will do the Staffelübergabe, a button, to my colleague Uli Höcker, who is the head of division Employment and Social Development, and he gets the button from me.
Thank you, Kathrin. Dear colleagues, dear participants of the Future Forum 2021. We have just experienced 4 days of inspiring discussions and intense virtual collaboration at the Future Forum 2021. And I think we all felt the great energy and the extensive exchange during these days. And as so often at the end of such an event, there's also a little exhaustion. But no worries, the show must go on and the show will go on. Together with our colleagues from the division Methods, Innovation and Digital Transformation, we will be the hosts of next year's Future Forum 2022. One thing is for sure, it won't be easy to keep up with the dynamics of this year's event. which was a firework of inspirational debates. But however, we think that it will be worth to follow us next year. So we will try to keep on focusing on the main challenges of our digital era. We will also explore new approaches and tools to enable digital transformation. We will also try to bring together a vibrant community of experts and colleagues. And we will also try to offer inspirational debates and speakers that you don't want to miss. But we also want to experiment and test a few new things. We want to organize a meeting in presence. So we invite you to Potsdam in September 2022, and we hope that we can meet a lot of colleagues over there. We will also try to organize a kind of learning journey throughout the year with different events, so that we will not just have the event in presence in September 2022, but also a series of events that prepares the way towards the Future Forum. And we also want to produce long-lasting knowledge products such as podcasts, interviews that are available also online. So we are very happy to welcome you in Potsdam 2022.
Wonderful. Gosh, the party's going to continue. There's going to be a lot of work that you're going to need to do until then, and people will be watching your backs as well. So,
and I have to continue.
You have to continue.
My journey continues.
So, what's next?
Oh, I think we have made it.
I think it's time to say thank you, isn't it?
Yes, it's time to say thank you. And I will start with the focal area teams. You filled this Future Forum with life. You shaped learning journeys, taking many colleagues along. With your dedication, patience, agility, flexibility, this entire event would not have been possible. Please let it rain hearts on Assembly and on the Plus chat for Friedmut, Annette, Ben, Mona, Lisa, Franziska, Julia, Rea, and all the others. Thank you.
So, and a huge thanks, of course, also to all the side event hosts. Many of the side events were organized together and through the sector networks, whom I'd really like to thank. I work with them very closely, very often, and I think they're such a great contribution to all our knowledge management and innovation and all of GIZ. And of course, to the side event hosts, many of them came from your division, Annette, because it was such an opportunity to bring in the methodology perspective in these side events. So thanks also very much to everyone who was involved in the side events, but particular also to the colleagues from the division methods who really made a great job in organizing so many side events early in the morning and until late at night to capture also our colleagues sitting in the time zone in Latin America.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kathrin. Thank you, participants. You were there with us, night and day. I've seen a couple of colleagues on night shift with us. What better compliment can you give us? Thank you for really being part of this journey all the way. Morning, midday, evening, and even night. Thank you.
And very much I'd like to thank the rapporteurs. We just saw them of the focus areas. The focus areas were at the heart of this conference. The focus areas allowed for continuous working over 2 days and 4 sessions, and also, of course, developed really dense and very good recommendations. So thanks for this extra effort of the rapporteurs. Mm.
Thank you, facilitators and moderators of 56 events. An incredible number, I would say. And a special thank to you, Natasha. I think your moderation so professionally, and you really bring everything together. Content, people, the hearts of each of us, and this in the virtual space. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natasha. And I'd also like to thank EdStore, our technical provider and partner, who've done a great job all together, not only in the studio, but much beyond. Without them, yeah, they're clapping. And all the other service providers. And of course, in the last moment of this conference, I'd like to thank, on behalf of Annette and me, but also Dirk, of course, really warmly, the core team. Who sent us a picture of what stage they're in right now. Look at the core team. Hope we can see the picture.
Let's have a look at the poor core team.
Let's have a look at the poor core team. So that's Darius, Marius,
come and join
Timo, Sabrina. Look at the core team. Anne, Nina, Lynn.
Core team.
Core team.
Leave
on your masks, and I think then the core team can come in. Woohoo!
Thank you.
Well done. Awesome. What a great photo. And we're going to keep you all here because there's no better way to connect people than to dance. So stay here. And ladies and gentlemen, you sent us all fantastic suggestions for a compilation of spacey songs. And our artists are here with us in the studio. Eric, Noah and Rule to Let It Rock in a spacey way. Over to you. Thank you.
maybe now they fairly fall. I tell myself I won't get astray. I believe it's gonna be hard. So I look across the main, with a point far out of sight. Over me comes the rain, and I'll be gone within a night. I'm looking for ways over water. I'm looking for ways to go. I'm looking for ways over water. I'm looking for ways back home. I'm looking for ways over water. I'm looking for ways to go. I'm looking for ways over water. I'm looking for ways back home. Water.
Ich bin hier, weil ich hier hingehöre. Von Kopf bis Fuß bin ich verliebt. Ich verliebt, ich verliebt. Du bist mutig, weil du mir Treue schwörst. Zwischen all den schönen Souvenirs. Sprich mich an in dem Takt, der dieses Lied zu unserem Hit macht. Brich den Beat mit Gefühl. Du bist so schön, weil du lachst. Mein Herz tanzt. Und jedes Molekül bewegt sich. Mein Herz tanzt. Und jedes Molekül bewegt sich. All I need is time to get behind behind the sun and cast my way. All I need is a piece of this mind, and I can celebrate. All in all, there's something to give. All in all, there's something to do. All in all, there's something to live with you. Get behind the sun and cast its way in line. All I need is a place to find. There I'll celebrate. All in all, there's something to give. All in all, there's something to do. All in all, there's something to live.
justify all the hurt inside. Guess she knows from the smiles and the look in their eyes. Everyone's got a theory about the bitter one. They're saying, Mama never loved her much, and Daddy never keeps in touch. That's why why she shies away from human affection. But somewhere in a private place, she packs a bag for outer space. And now she's waiting for the right kind of pilot to come. And she'll say, yeah, I will fly her to the moon and back if you'll be my baby. Got a ticket for a world where we belong. So would you be my baby? She can't remember a time when she felt needed. If love was red, then she was colorblind. All her friends, well, they've been tried for treason and crimes that were never defined. She's saying, but love is like a barren place, and reaching out for human faith it's like a journey I just don't have a map for. So, baby, gonna take a dive and push shift to overdrive and send a signal that she's hanging all the hopes on the stars. Just say yeah, I will fly her to the moon and back if you'll be my baby. Got a ticket for a world where we belong. So would you be my baby? Mama never loved her much, and my daddy never keeps in touch. That's why she shies away from human affection. But somewhere in a private place, she packs a bag for outer space. And now she's waiting for the right kind of pilot to come. And she'll say to him, just say yeah, I will fly her to the moon and back if you'll be my baby. Got a ticket for a world where we belong. So would you be my baby? I will fly her to the moon and back if you'll be my baby. Got a ticket for a world where we belong. So would you be my baby?
Here comes the hot stepper. I'm the lyrical gangster. Big up the crew in the area. Still have it like that. No, no, we don't die. Yes, we multiply. Anyone press will hear cha-ching, ching. Here come the hot stepper. I'm the lyrical gangster. Excuse me, Mr. Officer. Still love you like that. Extraordinary, juice like a strawberry. Money to burn, baby, all of the time. Caught to fit, it's me. Fit to cut the shit. Come juggle with me, fix it every time. Here come the hot stepper. I'm the lyrical gangster. Dial emergency number. Still love you like that. Na 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 na. So we do it, man. Na 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 na. Hey, start like a jackrabbit, finish in front of it. I'm the 90s Jack, that's it. Understand? I'm the daddy of the Mac, daddy. Is a nothing gold made me. Ain't no homie gon' play me. Top celebrity man. I'm the lyrical gangster. Excuse me, Mr. Officer. Still love you like that. No, no, we don't die. Yes, we multiply.
Start. Alles klar, Experten streiten sich um ein paar Daten. Die Crew hat dann noch ein paar Fragen, doch der Countdown läuft. Effektivität bestimmt das Handeln, man verlässt sich blind auf den anderen. Jeder weiß genau, was von ihm abhängt, jeder ist im Stress. Doch Major Tom macht einen Schirm. Dann hebt er ab und völlig losgelöst von der Erde schwebt das Raumschiff völlig schwerelos. Die Erdanziehungskraft ist überwunden, alles läuft perfekt, schon seit Stunden.